What is up, guys? Welcome. Crypto FUD. Happy Tuesday. Let's jump right into this. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. See here, we are good to go. Awesome. All right. Well, I'll start over like I always do. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Market open. Markets, I believe, just open. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, so it looks like markets have officially opened as of now. S&P at 6,400, nice. Bitcoin having a nice little resurgent, coming down from the 118,200 to about 119 as of now. We did have a nice move above 119 as of earlier this morning, but it looks like as of now we keep getting rejected at around this 118,950 area. This is going to be an area that we've come up multiple times in the last 24 hours, and we just cannot seem to break above as of now. What do I always say? If we keep retesting areas, we're probably going to break above, so I'm not really too worried in regards to this area. I'm sure we will break above. Obviously, we have some reasons why we haven't broke above as of now, and I'm going to pull it up. We talked about this on yesterday's stream. We're going to cover a couple other things right now. Ethereum looking great at 38.65, looking fantastic. Today we have dropping, I believe, tonight or on the 29th, we have job openings, Jolt job openings dropping today. A little later, we have the Fed decision for tomorrow as far as interest rates. We have, looks like core PCE dropping the following day, which is going to be on Thursday. And we have on Friday unemployment dropping on the 1st, which is going to be a big deal as well. Flip, what's going on, bro? So starting today, and basically the next 4 days, we have a lot of macro stuff ahead of us. We talked about this on our members only stream. We talked about this on the regular stream yesterday. Today is a big macro week. Hopefully everything or mostly everything goes in our favor. And I believe that we could have a solid week setting us up for a nice little move going into September. So like I said, right now, Ethereum looking great right now. Looking great, $3,861. This is on the daily. Like I said yesterday, we have found that support that we've been looking for above the 3,700 area. That's the 236 on Ethereum. So it looks great as of now. We're holding this solid area. I'm telling you guys, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some good macro numbers coming up in these next couple days that Ethereum might have a nice little shot up towards around 4,100 before getting rejected briefly. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, if you guys are just joining, Bitcoin market just opened up. Looks like we keep getting rejected around this 18,950 area, but we keep coming up to retest, so I wouldn't be surprised if we break above here soon. Looking at the crypto bubbles for today, you can see as of earlier, Bitcoin did have a retest, so we were down slightly in the market. You can see as far as alts kind of taking a hit, some a little bit more than others. It looks like meme coins are the ones that are mostly taking a hit right now. We have Pepe down 6.5%, Fartcoin down about 16%, which is a big move right there. Bunk down 11%, Whiff down about 7%, Pengu down 7%. This isn't coincidental, right? Meme coins are going to run together for the most part. Doesn't mean that one's not going to do the exact same as the other, right? But for the most part, when they're up, they're up. When they're down, right? Big movers for today we have for the daily. Hex is up about 11%. Hex has been running. This Conflux ran up 44.8% right now, and you have HTX Deo up about 8%, and Flare up around 3%, and Crow's actually not doing too bad, up about 2.5%. Crow's been doing pretty well as of late. So you can see across the market, not big movers other than CFX, but I wouldn't be surprised as later on we get some macro news coming in. We have the trade deals, coming in, which are going well. The market right now is just kind of been consolidating as far as Bitcoin waiting to pop. Ethereum hasn't really been waiting. It's been consolidating above the 236, what we want to see. Some big movers for today. I know people that are following the channel. Flip. Zbeck, bro. Zbeck is running. We have been talking about Zbeck for a while now. Actually, I can't even take the credit. Flip and a few other people were early investors in the project. But I was talking about this on the channel because a lot of interest that we have on the channel down here, saying these were good buys. And sure enough, they were definitely good buys. You can see from the bottom to where we just literally hit our head, 156% gain in the last few weeks on Zbeck alone. So definitely a massive run as of now. Zbeck has finally broke above this consolidation zone, right? Like we already talked about. But the confirmation of the big blast off was when we broke above, we started to use it as support. That's when you knew that this wasn't just your normal run up to 40 something, the 44 area and then get rejected. No, this was probably going to be a nice run. And you can see that's exactly what we've seen. A beautiful curvage, beautiful curve in the charts indicating a nice bullish run that we've had right now. And obviously with news coming out, every few weeks with Zbeck acquiring companies and making deals with credit card companies and wanting to move, not only them being in Europe, but also starting to get into the U.S. market as far as payment-wise. It's just nothing but a project that I would anticipate down the road is going to continue to move up and up. Obviously, there's going to be dips in between. My advice for me, my opinion, not financial advice for anybody, but I just keep acquiring and picking up on the dips as far as if we see any. So looks great. Next big spot for some massive resistance. Obviously, we did hit our head for whatever reason around this 55 area. Doesn't look like it's been an area that we really have hit our head before, but was just a random spot that we hit. This 236 around the 57 is probably going to be an area that's going to be a big spot for some resistance. And Flip, you guys already know, we hit that 236, we're probably going to need to retest it a few times. But if we get confirmation of some candles above the 236, bro, I wouldn't be surprised whenever we do get that we're probably going to start seeing some all-time highs hitting for Zbeck. So good times ahead of us, looking absolutely fantastic. Looking across the board for DeFi right now, a project that was running last night. We pulled this project up probably like a week ago when it dropped on Pump Fund. Yesterday, this project AI4, this is on Solana. You can get it on Pump Fund or you can get it on Jupiter. This thing ran up 500% yesterday. Absolutely insane right now. And still, the market cap's still only at $300,000. I wouldn't buy in right now just because it's probably going to retrace after a big run. But I mean, a massive, massive run for that project. But other than that, everything else in DeFi, for the most part, I mean, like I said, Farcoin taking a massive hit. I'm surprised Farcoin being over $1 billion is down so much. There must be something going on. But Farcoin retracing down about 17% right now. Mask. Let's see here. Mask had a massive run up yesterday. You can see. And then it started to retrace. Now that it's been consolidating and retracing on Mask, I did sell off. I did disclose this. I sold off yesterday, only to reposition myself as we're kind of in some of these areas that we're finding some support. Shout out to Flip. Appreciate it, bro. Thanks for putting in work. Can you talk about the next 2-month cycle? Yeah, we're going to actually, I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to bring that up right now, bro. I'll actually talk about it right now because I know you're busy and you might not be able to stay the whole show. So Flip, I'm talking to you directly, but I'm talking to everybody, really my members. Remember what we talked about, I believe the last members only stream, which was on Sunday, or maybe the one before that, when we went through the 4-year cycle and we look back on 4 years from 4 years from now, 4 years ago, right? I don't know if I said that correctly, but remember we were talking about there was a time where in July the market started to pick up, kind of like what we're seeing right now. But remember in September, it did drop. It did see a nice little cool off where we dropped down about 25%. And that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today was that, and we'll pull it up in the charts. There already are some things that I'm showing that, like this right here. It says this right here showing on one of these. This is Crypto Brib. Says warning bearish MACD divergence still there ahead of two worst months of the year. And I'm only bringing this up because usually August is not a bad month, but September, for whatever reason, during the 4-year cycles, tends to be a spot where the market likes to retest certain areas and kind of have a cool off before that last, massive run, right? And remember, we're only going off of the 4-year cycle, especially from 2021, right? So if we pull up, we'll go through. This is stuff that we usually go on for our members only stream, but I'll bring it up here. If we go back, to we go back into history, I can pull up a solid chart here. Let's see. I'm looking for a chart that I haven't freaking messed up already. Let's go back. Let's look at the weeklies so we can make this easier. We go back. Bro, what's up with these half charts? Give me something here. Here we go. So if we go back to 2021, right? Remember, 4-year cycle. That's what we're kind of thinking off of right now. You go back to the 4-year cycle, and Flip wants to know about the next 2 months, basically. Well, obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know exactly what's gonna happen, right? There is a lot of bullish stuff going on in the market right now, but you can't fade on. There's always going to be retracements, regardless of what's going on in the news and stuff like that. There's always going to be dips in between, the big moves up. If you look, this is back in 2021, right? The third week of July, we saw some nice movement towards the upside for the market, right? Moving up, and then we got into July. August was actually a solid month, like I said, continuation. These are the weeklies, right? So you saw fluctuations in the week, but for the most part, we closed in the green all of August, right? But come September is really where it scared the shit out of a lot of people back in 2021, because this was it. We were running back up. We had just come off this massive cool off, right? All-time highs. We came down 50% for Bitcoin and chopped around for 8 weeks, right? Finally, the third week of July, we're running. All of August, we're running. And then, boom, we get hit with a 25% drop within weeks in Bitcoin. Alts were hit again. Ethereum went down almost 30% during this. And during that time, Ethereum was just like it was right now. Getting that momentum, bullish. It was kind of not taking over the market, but a lot of people were focused on Ethereum, right? 30% drop on Ethereum, 25% drop on Bitcoin. We'll measure it from the top. This was basically at the end of September. This is the third week of September. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm looking at 21. This was basically the first week of September. And mapping it down, you can see from the top to the bottom, it was a 25% drop for those next 3 weeks, right? And this is what we talked about in the last week, was just kind of getting everybody prepared for maybe something like this that could happen, right? At the time, it wasn't fun, but it wasn't a bad thing, because look what happened. We came back, we retested some certain areas, we still held pretty well, and then blasted off basically for the next 2 to 3 months, making new highs. And this right here, friends, was basically when we hit altcoin season. When we ran up that last stretch, going from the end of September, I believe. Yeah, the end of September up until the end of November. So you look at that. What is that? September, October, November. So about 8 weeks. In that 8-week span, that's when you saw meme coins, you saw alts, you saw Ethereum go from 2,500 all the way up to almost $5,000. You saw alts 10xing, 20xing, not every single one of them, but a lot of them, right? You saw DeFi going absolutely crazy. You saw massive volume flying into the market within this small span of time. Retail just came FOMOing in. And you know what that's called, guys? You know what that's called? That's called exit liquidity. Exit liquidity. If you honestly, and I'm not saying I hope I'm wrong, but it could be different as far as time frame. But if you really think that we are going to just continue to run for the next few years, up until 2026, I'm not going to say you're wrong, because we don't know yet, but I highly doubt that that's what's going to happen. If you look at this run, right, because that was 2021, this right here was our bear market, right? I always ask people, and I've seen people ask, when do you start the bull run, right? Do you start it from the bottom of the bear market when we started moving up? Do you start it when, because technically the definition of a bear market is 2 consecutive months of 20% negative movement, right? So what would be the definition of a bull market? I don't know if it's the opposite, 2 months of positive 20%, regardless of what it is. If we go from, let's just say when we started moving up from the bear market, this was the bottom of the bear market, basically December of 2022 and at the beginning of 2023, right? If you think about that, guys, we have been running for almost 2 years. We have been running for almost 2 years. If you're going to tell me that there's not a bear market on the horizon, you can stay in the market. We appreciate your liquidity staying in so we can sell off, right? And you can run this freaking roller coaster all the way up and all the way down. I've been there. I've done it. It's not fun. It's not fun, right? Again, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know exactly time frame of when or what's going to happen. We're just going based off of 4 years. And I'm not going to sit here and do it all over. We've done this on our member stream. But if you go back, this is 2021. If you go back 4 more years, same stuff was happening, right? In 2017. It's the same thing. The only thing that was different was the time frames were a little off. They were off by like 4 weeks. But it all ends up looking the same, right? 4 years, 4-year cycle. Until proven wrong, I'm going to run with it, right? I mean, I'm not forcing you to do anything. You do whatever you want. If there's your favorite YouTubers telling you that we're going to keep running and everything's over with and there's no more cycles, good luck. I don't know. I hope you're right? Because that just means that we'll just continue to keep making money. But all due reality, 4-year cycle is what I am honestly anticipating that we still have going on. So to answer Flip's question, these next 2 months, I think that maybe this month going into August, historically speaking, usually tends to be a solid month, right? I don't know why particularly this person was saying that it was the worst. I'm sure if we looked at the chart as far as what I normally, sometimes I have it up, where we look at the history of Bitcoin and we look at the months, green or red, maybe August tends to be more in the red side. I don't know about during bull markets because we looked at the last 4 years, and 4 years ago during the bull market, August was a solid month. So with that being said, I would anticipate August most likely not being too bad for us. I would anticipate towards the end of August, going into September, most likely will be some kind of a big retest, a retracement, kind of weeding out the paper hands before we blast off towards the end of the year is what I'm anticipating. So, like I said, don't have a crystal ball whatsoever. We're just going off of what we've seen previous times. And I know someone's probably biting right now, chomping at the bit saying, well, Crip, everything's different. Everything is completely different right now, right? We have the ETFs. We have, as far as administration, they're very positive towards crypto. We have all these crypto bills passing, and I agree. I 100% agree with all that stuff. But at the end of the day, 4-year cycle, until proven wrong, I'm going to run with it. So, no problem, Flip. Thank you for the $10, bro. And like I said, bro, I know you're playing. I saw what you were saying in the Discord. So just just have patience, right? Have patience and don't feel bad hitting that sell button whenever you finally get to it, bro. Right? Cuz one thing I will say is you're always going to have options to make more money, right? That's the pleasure of it. Even during when we get into a bear market, there's still so much money to be made. So much money to be made. So, it's just what the hard part is, finally hitting that sell button when you're in profits, and having patience. If you are, like, let's say ZBEC runs up, you take profits, it's going to be hard for you not to just go buy right back in, because you're going to have that FOMO, that fear of missing out, that it's going to run more, or it's or you're going to miss out if it runs to the moon, stuff like that. So I mean, that's the name of the game, right? That's the name of the game. But no matter what, there's so many options out there to make money, right? You just got to kind of find them. So, but I'll be right here with you, brother. Let's jump in a couple things here. Yesterday I forgot to bring up the Fear and Greed Index. Nothing crazy, but Fear and Greed Index, in my opinion, is looking fantastic right now. We are in the greed, but we're like right there in neutral greed. Beautiful spot, in my opinion, for the market to continue to run. So looks good. I'll let you guys know when we start getting into that high greed, extreme greed. That could be some kind of a temporary top, pretty much, is a lot of times what it maps out. So jumping into some headlines, there's nothing really too big going on, but I wanted to pull up a couple things here. Influencer beef marketing, how Aiden Ross and FaZe pumped then dumped. I guess they came out with some project yesterday, MLG, right? So MLG crypto saw a dramatic price spike, but quickly gave up most of its gains after allegations of an influencer-led pump and dump scheme surfaced. Should you invest in MLG? No way. You're telling me that an influenced project pumped and then dropped? No flipping way. I mean, it doesn't look, it's still, this thing freaking ran though. I will tell you that. You know what I'm going to say about this, and we're not really going to get too much into the weeds with this. The one thing I will say, this is MLG on Solana, right? The one thing I will say is this looks like any typical chart that gets dropped on Solana, right? You see how it gets dropped. You know, it got dropped, what, when the hell did this thing get dropped? It's a little odd. They're making it seem like it just came out. This has been out for a year and 3 months. Is this the same? Hold on here. Or is it this one that's down 80%? Nah, it can't be. Yeah, it probably is, dude. 17 hours. Oh my gosh. Look at that. So, I mean, it looks like this thing did run up like crazy. Let's measure. Yeah, it ran up about 1,000%. And then it dumped. I was going to say the last chart we were looking at still had massive liquidity and the market cap was at $12 million. I was like, it doesn't look bad. I mean, it just looks like it pumped. And then, you know, a lot of people took profits, but it looks like it's holding pretty well. This project, on the other hand, looks absolutely horrendous. If this is the correct project, I believe it is because it's been out for 17 hours. And I believe they dropped it yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see volume was around $4 million in the last 24 hours. So, I mean, it just looks terrible. It looks terrible. A nice little move towards the upside, and then you can see a massive drop. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I bring this up because I tell you guys, if you're able to get into some of these projects right when they drop, maybe not a bad move, right? Maybe not a bad move, but if you're finding out about this and it's been, you know, a few hours, the chances of you being exit liquidity or you're going to get dumped on increases as time goes on, right? So you don't want to jump in on a lot of these projects that you're finding out, you know, hours later. You want, if you stumble across for whatever reason, if you're following them on Twitter or maybe you see them on a live stream and they're promoting it and it just dropped, you can take advantage of the volatility, you know, of it running up. But in and out is usually what I say, no diddy, as far as these projects, because they usually, I mean, 99% of the time, they don't even last 24 hours. They don't even last 24 hours. But a lot of money to be made if you're able to catch that 1,000%. So, next thing, just to jump into, Ethereum captures 40% of futures market as Bitcoin loses speculative momentum. So Ethereum's recent rally against Bitcoin appears to be gaining further strength, with derivatives and data signaling a notable change in the market sentiment. On July 29th, which is today, blockchain analytics firm Glassnode revealed that Ethereum's share of open interest in the perpetual market has climbed to nearly 40%. This marks the highest level recorded since April 2023. Historically, only a small fraction of trading days, about 5%, have seen a higher figure. So they're basically showing you that a lot of people are, and I don't know if this is good, but a lot of people are basically opening up a lot of either longs or shorts on perpetuals and futures for Ethereum. So I don't know if that's going to be necessarily good, just because, you know, if the markets start moving, let's say there's, you know, billions of dollars worth of longs open, and for whatever reason the market starts to dump, that'll cause Ethereum to dump even worse, just because you have all these freaking longs getting liquidated, right? So you're seeing massive sales across the board. So, I mean, but the point of this article was showing you that a lot of people are focused on Ethereum, right? I feel like this is what we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. It's just so much interest in Ethereum as of now, right? And it's not just your institutions. I tell you guys this all the time. A lot of retail are starting to, stumble back in, starting to get noticed, about Ethereum, and that's usually what they're going to be buying, Ethereum, and everything else that trickles down as far as other, bigger cap projects and meme coins and stuff like that. Another hint that retail is jumping in. Global stablecoin searches hit all-time high with Washington leading traffic. So basically what they're showing is that Google searches for stablecoins has started to spike again, right? You can see the chart as of now. It's pretty much at almost highs of where it's at. You're seeing people worldwide going and searching what the hell are stablecoins, right? And just to explain, what is a stablecoin? Well, it's pretty self-explanatory if you're any somewhat familiar with crypto, right? Stable coin, right? It's basically pegged to the US dollar. Shazam, what's going on, bro? Long time no see. What's going on, bro? It's like we said, it's pegged to the US dollar. That's why, if you think about it, that's why the Genius Act is so big. Not the shout out to the whole world, right? Everybody that's trading crypto from all walks of countries. Hell yeah. I understand, the need for crypto and especially in certain areas where maybe their currency isn't, their currency isn't worth as much, right? But smart for the US to really capitalize on the Genius Act, because why? Well, if we're getting all the stable coins in America to be pegged, no diddy on that one, pegged to the dollar, that means anybody across the world, when you're trading back into USDC, you're trading back into Tether, right? Even if you're not in America, you're basically in a sense trading back into the US dollar, right? So with that being said, and we talked about this yesterday, Tether minted another $2 billion just yesterday in their stable coin, right? And they're having to continue to keep doing this weekly, right? Because more and more and more liquidity is coming into the market. They're using stable coins, which are pegged to the US dollar, right? So it was a pretty smart move as far as the US to really capitalize and really start bringing in, innovation and all that, everything with stable coins. Instead of pushing them out, they're bringing them in, and they're like, hell yeah, we want to see stable coins thrive. It's pegged to the US dollar. That keeps the US dollar dominant across the world, right? So you can see, who do you think is searching for stable coins? Do you think that Warren Buffett is coming out and he's like, I'm going to look, what are stable coins? You think that Bill Gates is coming out of his mansion and he's like, what the hell are stable coins? You think Elon Musk, he already knows what stable coins are, right? The point of what I'm getting to is it's not freaking institutions, it's not BlackRock, it's not rich, mostly not these, elites, it's retail. Retail is coming in across the world and they're like, what the hell are stable coins? Why am I seeing shit about crypto every single day on the news? Why am I hearing that Bitcoin is just continuously moving up? What is Ethereum, right? What is this ZBEC that Flip keeps talking about? This is what's coming across their feeds on social media and stuff like that, and they're starting to look. This is exactly what we saw back in 2001, before we saw that massive run for alts, as we saw Google searches start to spike up, and that's exactly what we're seeing as of now. And you can see top cities by search interest of stablecoins. Looks like a lot of it is in America. You have number one, Washington. What is that? Hattiesville, Arlington, San Francisco, Singapore, right? Miami, Amsterdam. I'm skipping certain cities because I don't know how to pronounce their name. Is that Larkspur, Zurich, right? We have London, Lisbon, Frankfurt, Yonkers, right? Buenos Aires, New York, Boston, San Jose. Right, you have all these, and these are just the top, top 20 cities that they're seeing a lot of these searches coming in from as far as for Google. So definitely right there, just a hint showing you confirmation that retail is looking, they're interested. And I wouldn't be surprised in these next, I think in the next, 8 weeks, we're really going to be in this massive run where it's going to be that final stretch, whether it runs to the end of this year or towards the beginning, possibly the beginning of 2026. Like I said, timeframes can differ as far as 4-year cycles, but for the most part, when we look back, it's going to look similar to how other 4-year cycles looked before, in my opinion. So, Bill, what did I say? No Diddy. Bill said something, or I said something, and Bill's looking out saying the no Diddy. My bad, bro. Bitcoin right now, like I said, we keep running up and hitting our head at the 118,950 area. You can see we have come up multiple times. This has been, this has been an area where we bounced off of. No Diddy, right? We've come up, we've hit our head, right? And as of the last 24 hours, it just seems to be where we just keep running up. Yes, we do blast off past it briefly, but these are just candle wicks, right? Candle wicks are going to be that fast move and then a quick rejection. But you can see this is on the 30-minute, you can see basically us just coming up, and for the candlesticks coming up and just hitting our head at that area right there. So we're going to have to see how this plays out as far as, are we going to be able to break? Are we going to be able to hold support right here at this 18.4? Are we going to maybe come back down to certain levels? Even if we do, when I zoom out on this real quick, it's not like we're in this terrible, spot right now as far as charts. Let's look how the MACD looks as well. I mean, the MACD doesn't look terrible. It's obviously starting to curve towards the downside, but we're not in an area where where I'm looking as like overbought. It's really just because the macro. It's really because of the macros that we have for the next few days. We have uncertainty, right? Like I said before, we have where the markets, let me zoom in. The markets are just uncertain about certain things with the Fed meetings, right? The Fed meeting that's coming up. We have unemployment dropping, job jolts opening, jobs that's going to be dropping in the next few hours. We have GDP, which I think GDP is going to be good, but that's dropping tomorrow. It's supposed to be up. Quarter over quarter, it's supposed to forecast to be at 2.4%, where previously we were at negative 0.5. So that's a massive run for GDP, in my opinion. I think tomorrow we might have a solid day where I said this on Sunday for my members only stream. Put your freaking seatbelt on, because it's going to be like a roller coaster ride where we might have some good, like you saw this morning. We're running up 119.3. We get rejected. Who knows what we're going to come down to? Tomorrow GDP is probably going to drop, going to come out good. Maybe we blast up to 120, 121. Then the market's like, oh shit, Jerome Powell's coming out tomorrow. We're not going to see interest rates get decreased. Market maybe starts volatile, as far as the downside again. So it's just one of those weeks where we have a lot of volatility in front of us. A lot of volatility. But once we're done with this week, like I said, usually we're gonna be in August, and August tends to be a solid month for the most part as far as some upward movement. So right now it looks like we're retesting an area that has some support. We're trying to hold it. We just broke below briefly at that 118.5 area. So I'm glad I opened up a short around this 119.2 area, because I'm just short term, right? Literally, I will probably close my short when we come down. If we come down to one of these areas down here, I'll probably close the short out and just pick up some some quick gains. So nothing too crazy here. ZBEC's still holding really well. A little bit of a cool off for ZBEC. I wouldn't be surprised if ZBEC maybe comes back down to retest this, the 382 right here, somewhere around the 47 area. That would honestly be very bullish if we come back to retest this 47. If we can hold this 47, I think we'll start to come back up and start retesting, or not retesting, but coming up close to the 236 and start testing the 236 area. So let's see here. As far as Twitter, oh look, Thank you, Rover, for posting this. I wanted to see this right here. Oh, is this for Ethereum? I wanted to look at Bitcoin, but we can run off of this. So looks like, look at July, which is going to close in the next couple of days. But look at this, Ethereum's up 57% in the month of July for this year. August, we can kind of go off of this. This is Ethereum, but look at this. You guys can see August. If we go back to 2016, we're not really looking at everything here. I'm going to see if I can get a different chart here, but looking at 2016, you can see, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 years we're going to go off of. And out of those 9 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them were technically in the red for August. So this is why you have some people thinking that maybe August might not be the best month. In my opinion, I think it's going to be solid, because if you go back, like I said before, you look at 2021, which was the bull market, and even 2022, when we were technically already in a downward spiral, up 25%, up 35% in August, right? During the bear cycle, we were obviously in the red for these months, or for the month of August, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have a solid month of August. This is what I'm going for. DDG, what's going on, bro? Said, what's your prediction for Zbeck, bro? The moon. My prediction's the moon. Honestly, bro, I think Zbeck, in my opinion, bro, is gonna kill it. I mean, like I said just now, I wouldn't be surprised if the markets, like right now, Bitcoin's still kind of coming down. Zbeck is starting to get intertwined with how the traditional market's moving, right? Which is great. We're moving with the big boys. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we come back to retest the 382, somewhere around the 47 and hold. But long term, because I'm sure that's probably what you're asking, long term, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm almost certain that this is a multi-billion dollar project, right? I think the question is how high can we get? And I know you guys want to hear, I know Flip was telling us in the Discord that there was somebody was watching earlier that someone called out $10 billion. I mean, it's very easy for me to say this thing's going to $10-20 billion. I hope it does, right? But I'm always going to give those conservative predictions and say that I can 100% with my opinion, certainty, think that we're going to probably hit anywhere from $1 to $5 billion easily for Zbeck down the road. Does this mean in the next few weeks? Does it mean for this run particularly? Maybe not. $5 billion is a lot from where we're at right now, right? I think this is going to be a long-term project, right? And I think acquiring those multi-billion dollars as far as market cap is going to take some time. I really do think that. But regardless, you're talking about an asset right now that's worth a little over $400 million right now, and we're talking about billions of dollars potentially down the road. So I think regardless, we can all come to an agreement that we know that Zbeck is going to do great. It already has. It's going to do great. There's going to be retracements here and there. That's why I said earlier in the stream, I just take advantage of those. And my goal is really to get multi-millions as far as Zbeck. So, Flip, hey Crip, at some point, can you cover the retrace 618 levels for a good point to take profits on some of the older plays, just in case they don't go back to all-time highs? What projects are you talking about, though? What projects are you talking about particularly? Whew, Bitcoin dropping. Let me check I have my short on a different screen. Let's see here. I'm up. Holy shit, I'm up 61% right now. Nice. I'm actually going to take profits on this short. I should have took it already a little while ago. I'm going to take profits on the short right now. Nice. 60% locked in. Hell yeah. I just opened that up too when we jumped up towards a little over 19. It was at 19.1 was my position. So just in general, some good fib levels. But what project are we talking about though, Flip? Are we talking about just like Bitcoin? Or are you talking about Zebek? All right. Well, the reason why I asked what project, because I mean, there's going to be, everything's different, right? What is this, Injective? I think it is, right? Yeah. So looking at this project, for instance, for the fib retracement, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I know you're like eager to take profits. I don't know where you bought it on like something like this, but I mean a project like this, personally, when I look at the daily, it looks like the run hasn't even really started for this project. So like me personally, if it was this project particularly that I was looking to take profits on, I mean, depending on if I bought at the very bottom right here, from this very bottom right here to where you're at right now, I mean, you are up 115%. Maybe I would take some profits right now with hope that maybe we're going to come back to retest the 786 right here at around the $11.68. But in my opinion, honestly, this project hasn't really shot up yet, right? You've just seen, from the bottom, a nice little, 2x. But I feel like if you did not catch that bottom, then you haven't 2x your money. One, nice W pattern on here. I personally would probably wait. Now, I know you said the 618 for this project particularly is around $20. You can see it's $20.60 to be exact on here. So if that's maybe a level that you're looking and kind of waiting for us to hit, and then possibly take profits, it would be somewhere around that $20 to be, frank with you. But personally, like right now, me personally wouldn't take profits on this project just because, you look, it's had, the beat down as everything else has, and it's starting to move towards the upside with these little swings in between. Selling right now, I feel like would be selling yourself short on this project particularly. Now, let's say, for instance, tomorrow something drops with the project and it starts shooting up, on a day it's up, it shoots up 50, 60, 70%, then I would take profits because when something moves that fast, there's probably going to be somewhat of a retracement. Lock those profits in and then look for maybe a spot to reposition yourself, if it drops back down, even if it's 30 or 40%, you can jump back in with the same liquidity, but taking the profits out, if that makes any sense for this project. But if you're looking for the 618 on this one, look for around $20. It technically would be around $20.50 to be exact. DDG said the coin I'm most disappointed in is Milady. I know, bro. I know, dude. I don't know if you've been around. I feel like you have, but I don't know if I haven't seen you in a while. But dude, we used to cover Milady religiously. I literally started my channel off of Milady, like 2 years ago or whatever it was. Actually, it was during the bear market. It was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know, but yeah. She had a nice run up, a few years ago, but it's just like she's been so stagnant. The last year has been like nothing. Flip, give me another project. I'll give you the 618 again. For this one, remember, $20.50 is your 618 on Injective. I'm going to pull up Milady real quick while you give me something else. Look at this crazy chart I have here, bro. Insane. But, bro, I mean, look at this. She hasn't really... I mean, I've said this before because so many people are like, screw Milady, right, and have sold off. I'm telling you. And me, I made profits off Milady. I kept buying and selling. But I haven't bought back in a while. But DDG, I wouldn't be surprised, bro, if we come back in like 6 months from now, or in a few months when, altcoin season is like full effect, and this freaking thing runs up, and does like a 10x, right? Because it always seems to be the projects, that you kind of like write off, that'll just go crazy and just shoot up out of nowhere. Market cap's at $27 million. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it wouldn't take much for this thing to freaking 10x. $200 million, $270 million would be a 10x. The one thing that I always said, and I'll say it again right now, is a project like this that's on, all your mid-tier exchanges, right? It has exposure. It just does not do good with volume. It does not do good with volume whatsoever. Days like today, it's at $5 million. That's really not impressive. It really is not impressive, in my opinion. So, it is what it is. Flip, you got another project for me, bro? I'm waiting for you. No diddy. While we pull that up, tomorrow, the Feds, the meeting, we covered this religiously as well for the last 2 weeks. It looks like it's written in stone, guys. 96.9% pause for tomorrow, right? Is it? I think the Fed meeting is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, right? I keep forgetting. It's on the 30th. Yeah. Yep. Damn, so tomorrow's a big day. We have the Fed meetings and GDP dropping. Holy crap. Moonpig. You're brave for bringing up Moonpig around here, boy. Moonpig. Where's old Moonpig at? Moonpig. The volume has dropped down like crazy for Moonpig, bro. To be completely honest with you. Let's pull it up and see what it's doing totally. Volume's at 4 million. I mean, I guess it's not too bad across the board. It looks like majority of the volume's coming in through these smaller central exchanges like HTX, LBank, what else? Bitmart. Looks like where it's mostly coming in from. All right, I'm going to bring that one up, Flip. I got you, bro. But for Moonpig, bro, the other day I was like, I should buy in. It was when it was down here because you guys can see it. Support level for Moonpig right now technically is around 27, right? You have a nice little support level where it looks like it's bounced. It did drop briefly below, but nice little area where it was finding some good support. I was like, man, this was right before it shot off. I was like, I should just throw $500 at Moonpig. I was like, it's probably going to have one of those little scam pumps. And sure enough, it shot up. Nice move. I was like, damn, I'm glad to see Moonpig do really well. Shot up almost 200%, but you can see it has been trickling back down toward these areas. Me personally, I stay away from Moonpig. It's too much manipulation with this project with, James Nguyen. I know he's out of the project, I believe now, but it was just too much, honestly. For this project, just too many hands in the cookie jar, right? You have too many devs that are selling and just so much, shit in the back end going on. And you could tell that's exactly what was happening with some of these giga drops that were happening on the project. It was for sure these were devs that were taking advantage and selling off because they were holding on to massive amounts of the circulating supply. Maybe that has since stopped because you can see for the most part, you can see the price, even though we've seen a nice move towards the upside, it's kind of gotten a little bit more stable as of now, right? So maybe wouldn't be a bad time to accumulate, if you're long-term on the project. I personally, when you start hearing about all that shit, and this was 2 months ago, I just was like, you know what? I jumped out of the project. I actually took a loss, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out. I don't want to deal with that bullshit. I don't want to be these devs exit liquidity. If they're infighting and stuff like that and just whatever the manipulation was going on. So There's a big community behind Moonpig. I will agree with it. It was checking all the boxes. It had the community, had the hype behind it. It just, unfortunately, when you have bad actors that, acquired a lot of the circulating supply, they're going to screw the project over. And so far, that's what we've seen. But hopefully, this thing can, retrace. I mean, $3 million market cap has a lot of holders. You got 17,000 different wallets open for the project. So, I mean, it still looks like it has some potential on there. So, DD, you said you're holding a bunch of, I'm sure you're talking about Milady, right? We are going to the OG's flip. We haven't pulled this project up in a while, bro. I always can tell I haven't pulled up a project by the fib retracement. We just had to stretch the fib retracement like 7 months. We haven't looked at this project. So, I mean, nothing's really changed in regards to this right now, Flip. You can see the bottom looks like it might be in. This is somewhere around that 29 area. And you can see so far this area that we have that was support is now resistance as of now, right? That's going to be around that 74 area as of now. But, I mean, it looks, in my opinion, for this project particularly, it looks like it's steadily coming up to retest this area. Almost the third time that it's come up to retest the 74 area. So you can see most likely if it continues to stay and hover around that area, it probably will break this 618 is going to be basically eating up a zero and being somewhere around that 1.6 cent area for your 618. So you're talking about 618 from where you're at right now, potentially being somewhere around 170%. And again, the 618 is going to be around the 1.6, maybe 1.5 cent areas, if that's easier to remember. So let's pull up the market cap for this project. Nervos. Market cap pretty low, 288 million. Trading on Binance, I think we always talk about this, right? So the potential is there for this product to really do really well. The last week, it's up about 12%, so not doing too bad. Volume looks great. Holy shit, look at the volume. $200 million in volume. The market cap's at 288 million, right? Look at that. Up 438% in volume in the last 24 hours. Is something going on with the project? Let's see here. Nervos network force bridge breached. Crypto losses reached. Oh, shit. Looks like they got hit with some hacking or something. It says Nervos network suffers a major, this was a month ago, major exploit as 3.9 million in crypto is stolen from Force Bridge. 1 week ago, Arcadia Finance hit with $3.5 million in exploit. I wonder what's going on. With all that, you would think this project would be like damn near zero. It's up. So Flip, just to make it simple, like I said, just look out for the 1.5 cent on this as far as the 618. That 618, 1.5, it's really 1.6, but keep an eye out because you have the 786 at around 1 cent. I think that 1 cent mark is going to haunt you guys for a while as far as trying to break above, So I would maybe look at taking profits, not financial advice, but just maybe look at maybe taking profits around 1 cent. That might be a good area to catch. And then maybe it comes back to retrace and find some support around the 74, 75 area. And that would be a good spot to reposition if that's what you're looking for. DD said, go for broke now. Might as well hold. I mean, yeah, if you're in losses and it's, if you're down, I mean, it depends. Depends on how much money it is. Because if you can maybe find another play, you can take those losses and just put it in a different play and just move on. Sometimes it's so hard to do it, but I do it. You know, like I did that with Moonpig. I took the losses. I was like, bro, I was pissed because I hate selling for a loss. So I was like, you know what? Let me just jump out. And this is when it was a lot higher. If I would still be holding, it would have been just like not even worth it anymore. But I was like, let me jump out and jump into something else. And that's exactly what I did. You know, it's all about timing too. Zbeck is running, bro. It just ran up to 56. Nice little move. Bitcoin, I told you guys I closed my short just now. Didn't catch that damn bottom. I should have known if we dropped right below that 118 level, that was going to be an area. I was waiting for it to drop down to 117.8, somewhere around here, but I ended up closing. I still picked up the 70 or 60% short. So I'm not upset about 60%, in 2 hours whatsoever, but it probably was around 80% if I would have caught it at the bottom, because I opened up a crazy leverage of it was like a 70x short on Bitcoin, because I was my thought is like, bro, we've come up here how many times already and been rejected. I was like, when we broke above, I was like, you know what? It was risky. I was like 70x, 119.1, 70x short, ship it. So I wonder if I don't know when the macro news is supposed to drop for today. Like what time? Oh, it dropped. Okay. It dropped. So Jolt's job openings. Let's Google. All right, so the job openings and labor turnover survey, Jolt's report for June, released on Tuesday, that was today at 10 a.m., showed that job openings edged down to 7.4 million. This is a decrease from May's 7.769 million. The numbers of job openings as a percentage of non-farm employment also decreased from 4.8 to 4.7 in June, according to advisor perspectives. So it looks like, and we'll go back over here. So Jolt's job openings just dropped. Let's see here. The information just dropped. It was forecast to be 7.5 million, 7.55 million. It actually came out to 7.437 million, which was a decrease. Some reason, and I'm going to explain why, but the market looks like it's actually moving up off of this news. And you're like, well, Crip, why would the market be moving up? There was less job openings, right? Well, that actually means that the market, wouldn't that mean, so the less job openings means that more people are working, I would anticipate, right? You guys let's go back to the definition. It says, job openings and labor turnover report that it released showed that the job openings edged down. So job openings edged down. Yeah, so that would mean that there's less job openings out there, which should mean that unemployment would be going down, which technically wouldn't be good. And the reason is because the feds unfortunately need unemployment to move up. They want unemployment to move up. For whatever reason, they keep moving the goalpost. It was at 4%. Then they moved it to 4.2. Now they're looking at anywhere from about 4.2 to 4.4% unemployment rate for them to reduce interest rates, right? They keep moving the post, but the reason the train of thought on that is because the feds look at it as less people working lowers the demand on goods, inflation comes down. That's, to simplify it, that's how they look at it, right? If you're part of the people that aren't working, it's not good for you, right? So I think Degen will do well. Hold on, I think Degen will do well as well, or also. Who else? I think Flip always talks about Degen, right? I don't know anything about Degen. Is Degen on base? I believe, right? Is this Degen right here? It's on base, right? I believe it is. Didi, is it on base? I'm waiting for your response. Or Flip. Somebody answer me. Talk to me. All right. Guess we have to find out ourselves, guys. Let's see. Yeah, this is it, Degen. It's on base. And technically, base is in Ethereum. It's a layer 2. Base, obviously, Coinbase. It's Coinbase's DeFi, right? So it's a layer 2 off of Ethereum. So it runs technically on Ethereum's network. It's just a layer 2 through Coinbase. So the project, what is it at? It's at about $100 million market cap, volume $42 million. That's great. It's trading on, obviously, on Coinbase, right? One thing I always tell everybody, and the reason why a lot of people are like, man, it seems like Base is picking up steam. Well, Base is going to pick up steam. The reason is because Coinbase, right, is what the second biggest central exchange, right? So they're able to advertise, they're able to list their meme coins that drop off on their ecosystem. So a lot more money, a lot more exposure for a lot of these meme coins. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen it now, and I wouldn't be surprised down the road we continue to see, as long as DeFi thrives, that Base meme coins are going to do really well, because you're like something like this. I mean, it's got very high volume. It's got, the market cap's not that big, but it's a solid market cap, right? And you can see $4 million of it is through Coinbase's exchange, right? You have also, it's on OKX, doing really well. Majority of it actually is coming through Uniswap through Base, right? Which is a swap that's going to give you cheaper fees versus buying it on the central exchange. But the point of what I'm getting to is you have Solana meme coins. They do really well, but it's it's like you hit the holy grail if your meme coin gets listed on Coinbase and Binance, right? Well, if you're already on the Base ecosystem, you have a high probability, if the meme coin does really well, that you're going to get probably listed on Coinbase as well, which is going to give you so much more exposure, so much more volume and liquidity potentially coming into the project. So project like Degen, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised it does really well, in the middle of in the thick of altcoin season. So, yep, Flip has Base play. I have nice bag. Yeah, I know you guys always bring this up. I have Coinbase. I just don't use it at all. I should switch over and start using Base. I think, Flip, don't you always tell me that Phantom, you can use a Phantom wallet for Base? I believe you've been telling me that for a while. I'm so set on using freaking Solana now. Oh, no worries, brother. No worries. I'm sorry I keep asking you questions. You're over here trying to work. I'm like, Flip, don't focus on work. Answer the question here, bro. Well, Flip, hopefully some of these plays will play out, bro, and in the next few months, I'll have your undivided attention, right? We won't have to worry about freaking clocking in anymore. Hopefully, right? Well, let's just do a recap so I can let you guys go, because I'm sure other people are working as well. So just to recap right now, obviously, Bitcoin, we're sitting around 118,001. We did get rejected. We keep getting rejected somewhere around that 119 area. That's going to be a big spot. That is basically, as of now, our nemesis as far as resistance. We have a lot of macro numbers dropping. We just saw some drop today, right? The job openings. But we have bigger things that are coming off tomorrow. Tomorrow probably being one of the biggest of this week. We have Jerome Powell coming out for the Feds as far as interest rates, which we know is going to be a pause. But we also have GDP dropping tomorrow, which is supposed to be coming out crazy good, right? GDP quarter over quarter is supposed to be coming out very good tomorrow. We're going to be covering both of these things tomorrow. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel so you can get the alert. We will be live on both of those. Also, on Friday, we have unemployment dropping on August the 1st, which is this Friday, which is going to be a big deal as well. So with that being said, you're going to, like I said, we're going to probably have some ups and downs, a lot of volatility continuing this week. Hopefully everything goes in our favor as far as with the market, and we can just kind of, get past this week. I think next week is going to be pretty much smooth sailings as far as for macro and everything else. So right now, Bitcoin not doing bad at all. You can see it's really been consolidating around this level for the last few weeks, or the last few days. We're looking at the daily. So really, if you really look at the gist of where we're at, other than us making highs, the last 2 weeks, we have been consolidating like crazy. When you really look at this chart, consolidating like crazy. So, doesn't look bad. Bitcoin likes to do this, before it starts making leaps towards the upside. Ethereum looking fantastic, staying above the 236. That 3,700 level is going to be our 236. Looks fantastic right now. I just spit all over my freaking screen. If you guys didn't see that, slow motion was just like... But for right now, 236 looking great at 3,700 as far as us having that support. We're at 3,800, so looks fantastic for today. The rest of the market, not doing too bad, right? Not doing too bad. We have a lot of red, but at the same time, not like crazy, sell-offs or anything like that. So this is what I would expect for the week, as far as ups and downs. And then from there on, hopefully we see a solid August, ahead of us. August tends to be usually a good month during the bull cycle. So, Craig, what's going on, bro? You're coming in right at the end of the show, bro. You know what? Craig's here. Let's go for another 2 hours. Let's go. Let me open up another beer. I'm just kidding. I ain't drinking beer. Now, Craig, you're going to have to watch the beginning, bro. But with that being said, that's pretty much it. Make sure you guys have a fantastic Tuesday. Be productive out there. Keep grinding. Focus on the prize. Altcoin season's literally just a hop, skip away, guys. We're going to make it. We're going to be good. If you guys are new here, make sure you guys slap the like. Even if you're not new, hit the like. But if you are new, hit that subscribe button. All right, guys? With that being said, Craig, B3 chart trying to move up 10% today. Awesome, bro. Awesome. All right, guys. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and I'll see each and every one of you guys later. Oh, members, Degen, members, Trenches, tonight. All right? Trenches, tonight. Be ready. We're going to the trenches tonight, so be ready. All right, guys? I'll see you guys later.